In this video, I'm going to be teaching how to make this off-shoulder blouse. This is the pattern tutorials or how to draft this blouse. So if you're interested in it, kindly watch till the end. So I'm going to be using this brown paper for the drafting, and then it is folded into two. That is unfold. So fold your brown paper into two this way, and then the next thing I'm going to be doing is to mark 1 inch down from the upper part. This is to serve as a guideline and also the shoulder line. So I'm going to be indicating that line with S, that is shoulder. Next thing I'm going to be doing is to mark my shoulder to bust measurement, which is 9.5, my shoulder to waist, which is 16. I'm repeating the same step at the other side so I can connect the points together with my ruler. So 9.5 and then 16. Next thing I'm going to be doing is to measure my waist to hip measurement. So measure from your waist to hip, whatever you have, you mark it down. Mine is 9 inches. Next thing I'm going to be doing is to mark my shoulder to under bust, which is 13 inches from the shoulder. So mark yours and then measure yours and then mark it down. So that is my waist, under bust and hip line. Next thing I'll be doing is to mark my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 7 inches divided by 2. I have 3.5 inches. That is what I'm marking over there. So after marking the points on the bust, waist and hip line, just connect the points together with your ruler. Next, I'm going to be putting in my bust measurements, which is bust divided by 4. Whatever you have, you mark it down. You divide your waist by 4. Whatever you have, mark it down, and then you divide the hip by 4. Whatever you get, you mark it down, marking 10.5 at that point. And then I'm going to be joining from the bust to the waist, and then from the waist to the hip, just like this. Next thing I'll be doing is to work on the shoulder, which is 14 inches. You're going to divide that 14 inches by 2, mark it on the shoulder line and then on the bust line as well. After that, connect the points together with your ruler, just like this. Next, I'm going to be dropping the shoulder by 1 inch, and then I'm going to be marking 3 inches in for the neck width and then 3 inches down for the neck depth. After that, I'm going to be drawing the curve of the neck with my armhole curve. Next, I'll be dropping the shoulder or connecting from the neckline to the shoulder, just like this. Next, I'm going to be coming up by 2 inches for my chest line. This is optional in this pattern drafting, but then it is a guideline, so you can ignore this or add it. So this is 2 inches for my chest line, and I'm going to be connecting from the bust to join that line. Next, divide that point into 2. I have 6.5 inches. I'm dividing it into 2, and then I'll come in by ½ an inch. Next, use your armhole curve, place it on the shoulder, make sure it is hitting the point, that is the 0.5 inches you marked in, and then it is hitting the the new chest line as well. Next thing I'll be doing is to trace out the front onto the brown paper beneath. Remember, it is unfold, so I'm going to be tracing everything at the back to the back and then draw in with my marker. That will be for the back bodice. So after tracing, I'm just using my marker to draw in the lines to show you what exactly I've got or gotten. So after tracing it out, I'm going to be dividing it into 2 to get my front and then back separately. I'm going to be using this side for the front and then this for the back. Now let's work on the front. So on the under bust line, I'm marking 1/2 on both sides, and then I'm going to be coming down by 1 inch from the bust line. So I'm marking 1/2 at that point as well, which is not really needed, but I'm just doing that for a guideline. And the next thing I'm going to be doing is to mark the same 1/2 on the waistline. So I'm going to be connecting the points together to show you what I have. So from the bust point to the under bust, I'm going to be using my French curve for the marking, or for the connecting from the bust point to the under bust, and then I'm turning the curve to repeat the same step on the other side. Next, I'll be using a long ruler to connect from the waist to the under bust line, just like this. Next thing I'm going to be doing is to mark 1.5 inches in. You can decide to use 1.25. It will still work with this. I used 1.25, so let's maintain that. And then I'm going to be drawing a straight line from the shoulder to the bust point. So just place it at the center and connect the point like this. Next thing I'm going to be doing is to go up by 4 inches from the bust point. Note this depends on how low you want your chest line to be. I mean your new neckline. So if you want to reveal more skin, you can mark 3 inches or 2 inches, depending on how deep or low you want your neck to be. So you can try it out and decide what you want. Next, I'm marking 1/2 inch on both sides on my new neckline. So now you can decide to make a sweetheart neckline, or you make it straight. So on the bust line, I came up by 1/2 inch, and on that same 1/2 inch point, I came in by 1/2 inch again. So from there, I'm going to be connecting to the under bust. Just place your curve on it this way, and then follow the shape of the curve. And then in case you don't want a sweetheart neckline, you are going to be going higher. So I'm doing the two, so you decide which one you want. So I'm going up by 1/2 inch on the new chest line, and then I'm just connecting the points together. But before that, go in by 1/2 inch like I did earlier for the sweetheart. So I'm going to be connecting from that new dot line to my new point. So after marking your 1/2 inch on both sides, don't forget to draw in your dot. So this is a dot. So I'm going to be connecting from that point to my new neckline. So if you want it straight, this is how you go about it. You can use the curve as well to give it shape. It all depends on you. This is like a sweetheart, but it is not that deep. If you want it straight, you can make it straight as well. Next, I'll be connecting from that point to that new point I marked. Remember, I came in by either 1/2 or 1/4 or 1.5. Next, connect from the new dot to that point as well. Make sure the curve is touching the armhole. So I'm going to be connecting the points together from that point out. So you know this is an off shoulder, so I don't have to go down by 1/2 inch on the side. So because we'll be fixing a sleeve on the armhole, so we need that armhole area for the sleeve. Next, if you want a sweetheart, just place it on it this way and then connect it down. It's as simple as this. So I'm actually using a pencil at this point so that I can make any corrections when I'm done before using the marker. But I advise you to use a pencil when you're working at home. So this is what I have at the moment. And I think it's alright. So I'm going to be marking or using my marker to draw in my line. So if you want a sweetheart, you go for that. If you don't, leave it as such. So since I'm maintaining a straight line, I'm going to be redrawing my curve from the under bust to that new point. So I'm using my marker for that since I've decided to go with that point or that shape. And I'm using a different marker to draw in the other neckline. In case you want that one, you go for it. And then if you don't want to fix a sleeve, you go this way. You connect from the dart to the side of the bodice. So with this, you can maintain this, or on the side, you go down by 1/2 inch. It all depends on what you want. Next thing I'm going to be doing is to shape my bodice. So I'm remarking the length of my blouse, which is 24 inches. So depending on how long you want your blouse to be, you go ahead and then mark it. And then on the side, I'm marking 4 inches down. Then I'll be connecting from that point to that new point. So you can play with the shape. You can make it V, you can make it circular or round. It depends on how you want it to be. So I'm using my ruler to draw in this curve. It didn't really come out nicely, so I'll reshape it later. So after drawing that line, I realized my curve wasn't that deep, so I went up by 1 inch again to redraw it. So that is why I marked 1 inch up. So redraw the line. You can go as high as the waist. It all depends on how you want it to be. Next thing I'm going to be doing is to extend my dart down. So you can decide to end it this way on your new hip line, or you mark the same 1/4 on the hip line and then connect the points together. So I'm going to be marking that 1/4 on both sides. So I marked 1/4 on the bust and then the under bust and then waistline. So I'm repeating the same step on my new hip line. So after that, just connect the points together to your waistline this way. And then I'm going to be taking the measurements of the hip and then mark it on my new hip line. Note, you can maintain this shape, it will still work. You can decide to leave it like that without adding the measurements for the hip over there, but I always add it to be on a safer side. In case it doesn't fit properly, I can adjust. So that is the main reason why I always remark or re-add the hip line to it. But you can maintain it if you want, it will still work out. After that, I'm reconnecting the points together to get it right or get the shape I want, since I've added extra inches to the new hip line. Next thing I'm going to be doing is to connect the new hip line to my waist. So this is what I have. Connect the new hip line to the waist and get a shape like this. So like I said, you can maintain the shape of the bodies without adding the extra inches for the hip, or you can decide to add it. It all depends on you, but I'll advise you to add it. In case it doesn't fit well, you can adjust properly. So next thing I'm going to be doing is to add my that allowance to the side. So 1/4 by 2 is 1.5. I'm adding the same 1.5 on the hip line as well. Then I'm going to redraw or reshape it. After that, I'm connecting straight to the bust line. So you have a shape like this. So this is all you need. Note it is without seam allowance. Next thing I'm going to be doing is to measure from the shoulder down to see how many inches I have. I have 5.5 inches. That is what I'm going to be using for the sleeve. So that is all for the front. Next thing I'm going to be doing is to work on the back. So this is the back bodice I have here. First thing I'm going to be doing is to mark 1/2 inch on both sides on the waistline, and then I'm going to connect it to the bust line. After that, I'm going to measure the distance from the waist to the new hip line, and then repeat that same measurement on the back, which is 4 inches. With the center back, you can decide on how long or short you want it to be. It can either be the same length or shorter than the side. It depends on what will make you feel comfortable. Next thing I'm going to be doing is now connect from the waist to my new hip line this way. So with this pattern, I actually forgot to remark the hip on the hip line. So repeat the same process I did for the front on the hip line. That is, you can either measure the size of the allowance you added on the hip and then add it to the back. You get it right. Next thing I'm going to be doing is to take the length of my sleeve. So remember I had 5.5 inches for the front. I'm going to be measuring the back and then mark that same 5.5 inches on the back before lowering or marking the center back. So after that, with the center back, you can decide to make it straight. You can curve it anyhow you want it to be. You can connect to the back line. I'll advise you to connect to the back line to make the back a bit shorter, because at the end of the day, I had a little bit of folds on the back. So connect from that point to the back line to avoid that mistake. So this is what I'm talking about. Connect to the back point and then ignore the one at the upper part. So I'm going to be adding zip extension to that side. Since I didn't add it to the brown paper, I'll add it when cutting out. Next thing I'm going to be doing is to label the front so that I don't make mistakes after cutting out. So that is one. That is the center front. That is the side seam. Make sure you indicate it with alphabets or letters so that you don't get confused. Whatever you're comfortable with, go by it so that when you are cutting on the fabric, you know exactly where you are placing each of the patterns. So next thing I'm going to be doing is to cut out the front and then the back bodies. So with the front, I have to fold the darts together so that I redraw the shape. Otherwise, after cutting out, one part will be longer than the other. So just fold one dart on the other this way and then redraw the shape. After that, connect to your hip line. So extend the leg of the dart like I've done and then reconnect it to the hip line, just like this. so that after cutting it out, the length will be the same. So I made a mistake here, so I'm going to cover it or tape it down with my tape, masking tape or solid tape, so that it becomes one. So make sure you draw the shape before you cut out. So I'm going to be using my masking tape to cover or tape my mistakes together with the main pattern. So this is what I have for the front. I have the 2 pieces for the cap and then 2 for the main body, and I have 2 for the back. And then this is the fabric I'll be using for the sewing, so watch out for part 2. Don't forget to like, comment and share my videos. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel as well. See you another time. Bye.